Marlboro County School Board meeting, Monday, August 3rd, 2015, is called to order. There's been notification of the news media, and the Marlboro Herald is here. Reverend Woods, would you have an invocation for us, please?
Yes. Shall we pray? Dear God, as we come tonight, we thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you for this day. Now, God, we ask you to let your divine Holy Spirit to govern us and to lead us as we make the sound decision for the Marlboro County School District. We ask you to continue to bless all of our staff, our administration, our teachers, and this board. God, we ask you right now to just draw us near to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. And we need approval of the agenda. I'm concerned that two of the members are not here, and under the item for the, three. Oh, yeah, okay. Three are not here regarding the discussion about Walker Park. And I want to know what the pleasure of the board is, whether you'd like to postpone that or deal with it tonight.
I would rather postpone it.
We have a majority of the board here. Is somebody going to be speaking from Walker Park?
Well, Ms. Hennigan was going to try to be here, but her sister is ill, and I don't know if she's going to be able to come. She called me, and it was up in the air whether she could come or not. So.
Well, Madam Chairman, this is listed under individual items for the September board meeting. It's not calling for a vote.
Right. Well, let's just postpone it until the next meeting, and maybe we'll have everybody here so we can have full discussion with the board. Ms. Swinney?
Yes. I know we need to deal with this at some point. What information, did you have some new information tonight that you were going to share? Or
Well, that's what Ms. Hennigan
she's going to come.
was
She's
going
going
to
to
bring.
Okay.
Right, right.
Because I think we need to deal with this at some point.
Okay. All right, so would someone please make a motion to approve the agenda with that particular item postponed?
Madam Chair, make a motion that we approve the agenda, excluding the item requested by our board chair.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. And under recognitions, we have the Boardmanship Institute recognitions. Is that Dr. Cobb?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Tiller. Established in 1982, South Carolina School Boards Association Boardsmanship Institute offers a year-round training curriculum focused on leadership skills for board members on state and national education issues. They offer awards and certificates to individuals who have reached one of the 6 levels of the South Carolina School Boards Association Boardsmanship Institute. And tonight I'd like to present to those board members who have reached levels 1 and 3 from the Marlboro County School District. First, we have board member level 1, Reverend Artemus Woods. Board member level 1, Mr. Danny Driggers. Board member Mr. Michael Coachman, level 3, will also be receiving a Certificate of Achievement and a South Carolina School Boards Association repair pin. Ms. Janice Bright will also be receiving a level 3 certificate and a South Carolina School Boards lapel pin. Ms. Nan Fleming, level 3 certificate and lapel pin.
Y'all cannot be part of the paparazzi.
Yeah.
You were too slow.
There's in
Part of them.
We'll do it after.
And last, Mr. Jackie Branch, level 3 certificate and lapel pin.
Thank you, Dr. Cobb. Next, we need approval of minutes for July 6, 2015. Would someone please make a motion to that effect?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 2000.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously. There are no individuals or groups who wish to appear before the board. We're postponing the issue of Walker Park. And so now we come to the Marlboro County Industry Training Center update by Dr. Ron Bartley, President of Northeastern Technical College, and Mr. Ron King, Director of the Marlboro County Economic Development Partnership. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. Am I on?
I don't know. I feel like this isn't on either.
I think I can
Are
talk
we
loud
just-
enough without it, if that's,
Okay.
if
All right.
need be. And I know that Ron can.
He doesn't need a microphone.
Gives me great pleasure, Madam Chairperson and Dr. Tiller and other members of the board, gives me great pleasure to come this evening and give you an update of what's going on with the Industry Training Center. We've had a lot happen since I've been here last time. I'd like to tell you about some of that. Some of you, I think, are, do we have any new board members from since I was here last time? I don't know how
And
much.
Mr. Driggers, but he's not here.
Don't know how much history I need to go into, but we'll go as far as to say that we've been working for about 4 years with the Economic Development Partnership in trying to assess the needs of the county and figure out what to do with the training center to improve our economic climate in Marlboro County, and that's what this has been all about. And we thank the board, school board, for working with us on the building. We thank the industries within the county, and I'll say that publicly with the media here, with their assistance, because some have come to the table with money to help us move this project forward. So we've had a considerable help to get to where we were, say, 6 months ago. Now, the reason I say 6 months ago, we recently, in the last legislative session, moved this into a capital project to be funded by the to be proposed funded by the General Assembly. And I'm here to report that we got $1.5 million for 2 projects. That's the Industry Training Center here in Marlboro County, as well as expanding the Industry Training Center in Pageland. So with the $240 some odd thousand that we raised earlier from industry, as well as some things that we're about to do, we're prepared to go get started on phase 1 of that renovation. And phase 1, Dr. Tiller, I think they have in their packet a concept from the architect. It's a color concept of what that facility would look like if you're looking from the highway, or if you're looking from certain angles that they've attempted to represent. For those that know about that facility, there's 5 classrooms that were used in the old high school. I think it was the vocational wing of the high school. Those 5 rooms will be renovated and made into training rooms. They will house portable equipment, which what that means is we'll be able to move it from room to room, and what we don't need, we can store. So we'll put just about everything on rollers so that we can have a considerable amount of training equipment there, but only get in the classrooms what we need for the training that needs to be done at any particular time. Estimated cost of Phase 1 renovation, right now we estimate it to be about $1 million. Our architects are at work, even as we speak, to finalize what it takes to move forward in the bidding process for this. You need to be aware that there are several layers of approval for us. One is, because this is a building that's still owned by the school division, we do have to get one level of approval from the Office of School Facilities. We don't anticipate that to be a problem this time. Our architects have worked with them before, so we think that that's a matter of taking care of any potential asbestos issues and maybe another issue or so that needs to be resolved before anything is started. But then after that, because this is state funds, we have to run everything. Everything has to be run through, as far as the requisition process has to be run through our state engineer's office. So, you know, it's the bureaucracy at its best, I guess, but that's what we need to do to move forward. Then, of course, there are some local approvals as far as code is concerned that we'll need to take care of. We estimate that the start date for the renovation will be mid to late October. We estimate that the opening of the facility could be as early as summer of 2016, with anticipated start date for classes and training and so forth within that facility fall semester of 2016. We estimate that to be near the first or middle of August. Now that's the timeline. I do want to tell you that, and I'll ask Ron to step up and say a couple of things too, but there's a number of things that we need to make sure that everybody understands. Number one is we've got 2 types of training that can take place at that facility once it's done. One is the short-term training, and that's the specific type of training that an industry might need that's specific to their workforce. That's one of the needs that we're looking to satisfy. But the second is curriculum training for new workers, and that's where the school division can come into play here. We're talking about training people for skills, for jobs that exist right now, for which we have no skilled worker pool or very little skilled worker pool. And so that's what the 2 things we're about. The other thing that you need to be aware of is that there's 2 forces that's at work that's driving this whole project. One is the aging workforce. As some of you may be aware, in the industry, we have a graying process going on, and it's been estimated that 55% or so of the workforce will retire within the next few years. That takes a lot of backfilling, and we're going to lose skilled people in the process too, so we need skilled, trained people coming in behind that. But also we have expansion of existing industries that's taken place. My understanding is there's a couple, 3 of those that are going to have significant workforce needs because of those expansions. And I don't know, Mr. King may want to address that. The other thing I'd indicate to you is that the 3 partners in this project, just to remind you, are NETC, Northeastern Technical College. We take care of the training curriculum programs that's needed. There's the Marlboro County Economic Development Partnership, and the industries as part of that partnership is a driving force in this. And the 3rd partner, of course, is you, Marlboro County School District. And of course, you know that has huge implications for things like dual credit, or either programs that students may want to get into while they're still in high school in order to be able to get to the job market a little sooner. And that's something that I hope we'll explore a lot as time moves on. I do want to tell you that my folks are already having conversations with Dr. Tiller's folks in the school board, school division, to talk about how some of that can happen. We're already doing some dual credit classes for those students that want to transfer to a four-year college or university. That takes place in our existing facility here in town. But we have the ability to add credit for courses like mechatronics and others as time moves on in this process, as we get the facilities ready to be able to accommodate students in training programs of that type. Ron, do you want to add anything to this from the industry's perspective?
Sure. I would just like to add that this initiative really came out of our industries. We have available workforce, but we don't have available workforce that is trained to their skill levels. And that's primarily because their skill levels have jumped tremendously in the last 10 years. So if you were trained 10 years or 15 or 20, or in a textile worker's case 30 years ago, those skills were good in the operation that you went into, but now primarily everything in our factories are driven by some form of computer control. So upgrading people's computer skills, upgrading their problem-solving skills, because now they're not only asked to put things here in this pile, but they're asked to figure out why they weren't right when they came to them, or how to modify what the machine is doing. So the skill level required for most of our industries much higher than it was. The second thing is that we have along the PD River a group of industries that all have process. They don't stamp parts. They don't cut things out. They don't assemble things together. They start with what I would call a recipe, and whether that recipe is for bricks or paper or carpet fiber or fiber boards that the Arauco plants make, they start with a recipe. Then they have a computer-controlled process from there to the end when they come out with a brick, a board, a roll 30 feet wide of paper, or carpet fiber. So those skills are very similar, but they're not actually addressed in anywhere in the state of South Carolina's training system, because they're a process industry instead of a product industry. And so one of our big focuses is to do that, and our industries have agreed to lead us in the creation of those curriculum that will get Marlboro County workers ready to work in those particular Marlboro County factories. So that's a part of what Dr. Bartley alluded to, was that we're going to train people for work skills, but we're going to train them for work skills that are related actually to the industries that we have existing in our community. So that was the one big thing I'd like to add. Any questions?
Ms. O'Nation.
Thank you both very much. This is a wonderful project that we need. I've had a lot of questions from our high school students about the difference between the dual credit and the dual programming. Can you elucidate on that just a little bit more?
Yes, I can. We use the terms on campus, dual credit and dual enrollment. And I guess that's the two things they're asking about. Dual enrollment is when students can sign up for classes with us and get credit while they're in high school, but they're not getting high school credit for those classes. And there's a number of opportunities students can use to do that. That requires, of course, permission from the schools and permission from parents, but they can enroll and take those classes outside the school day. Dual credit classes are offered in conjunction with the school curriculum, and students can sign up for a course and get high school and college credit both at the same time. Not only are they getting credits on a transcript for us, but they're getting credit toward graduation at the same time. The reason that's a good concept is we have models in place that will help pay their tuition for that, and they can actually pick up. We've had students to pick up as many as 24 credits while they're in high school, and actually enter college the first year as a first-year sophomore. We call it the senior to sophomore program. That's a term I've used loosely around the college. Students can actually go from senior in high school to sophomore in college. So that's the difference in two. One is they're getting college credit but not high school credit. The other one, they're getting both high school and college credit.
And that's where we're coming in, because the tuition is a good situation for them there, as well as getting that. I'm having a lot of push that maybe not as many people that would like to take it. There are more who want to take it, and I don't know why they're not. So maybe that's just something we need to work on with you, to get that going.
And we're working with the school division to promote those classes. So
Right.
it's something we've worked on for a couple of years now and really making some inroads. We think this year may be a banner year. I hesitate to say that too openly, but we think it's going to be a banner year for dual credit.
We want to encourage that, and the board, of course, stands really behind that, and we want that to succeed. We appreciate the industry's input, too, and this difference between process and product. We are having some questions in our STEAM program, which is the engineering and the mechatronics and all of that, as to what might be the best routes there to conjoin all of these factors that we're talking about. And one of the questions is, should these be honors classes? Do you have any opinion on that?
I don't. I just think we need to coordinate that discussion between our folks and the academic side and the school division folks from your perspective.
And they've already
Moving in that
been
direction.
having those
Yeah.
discussions. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Thank you.
And
We
there
really
are some really healthy discussions taking place.
Yeah, I
And
know.
there's two things I'd like to point out that I didn't say. One is what Ron mentioned a moment ago, and that we're moving forward with this whole effort. And when we think when we're done with this and it's actually in place, it'll be the only one like it in the state of South Carolina. Second thing is, if you look at the composite, the architectural rendering that you have, there's a name at the bottom says NETC. What does it say? Technical
Center.
Technology Center.
Technology Center. Ignore that name. That's just a placeholder for the architect. We put no name to this yet. To this point, we've been simply saying it's the Marlboro County Industry Training Center. That's not the name that will stick. We think that it's incumbent upon us not only to preserve our identity, but also to preserve some of the historic identity of the school itself.
Yes.
So as we carry that dialogue forward, we'd like to talk about what that name ought to be that's going to stick with the school.
Dr. Bartley, I'd just like to thank you from the beginning that you recycled. I like to say that you recycled a building that was on a very prominent corner, and it meant so much to the community. And I'm just very grateful that you was patient with us to move this forward for this community. The school we had no use for the school. And according to your architecture drawing, they're beautiful. It's going to add to the community. Plus, it's going to help out people. I thank you for being patient with us to walk us through it so that we can see it, as well as Mr. King for taking it on and carrying it forward, because it can only be a win-win. If nothing else, the corner will look not so bleak. And in the process, young people and not so young people will be getting training that they so desperately need. And when you talk about the industries, I'm sure you're talking about Palmetto Brick or
Yes. Domtar,
and
Domtar, Lake
Domtar,
Board,
Mohawk, and all those people
Mohawk.
that are I think they're going to be here, and an aging population. And you fill the gap. You fill the gap and I thank you for that. I know that in the beginning when you brought this to us, we were kind of some of the board members was kind of they was a little afraid, but we pressed forward, and now we see reality. And I just want to thank you for being patient and bringing this to fruition.
We appreciate that. We hope to make that a premier training facility out there.
Dr. Tiller?
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues, because we started talking about this about 5 years ago. And so this is a real win-win for Marlboro County, and for not only for our citizens, our students, because we want all of our students to end up with at least a 2-year degree. So K-14, hopefully K-16 and beyond, but this is going to help us to be able to do that. And I just
Absolutely.
appreciate that partnership.
Thank you.
Dr. Bartley and Mr. King, I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
All right, under Administrative Services, Dr. McLeod, an update on school projects.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Tiller, If you will give your attention to the screen behind you. Next. Okay, we start with at the baseball complex. This is what it started out looking like. Next. This is a couple of weeks ago. Next. That's where we are now. In other words, they have that second story on, and they'll be putting the top on and drying it in shortly. And like I say, that's been a long process, but you know the weather just didn't quite cooperate in the early stages. Okay, next. Okay, back up to Wallace. This is the end over there near the woods, the primary end. That's where it started looking like a few months back. Next. That's what it was looking like on Friday. In other words, you'll notice how high the bricks are, and this is the last section of that school that they're bricking up. Next. Notice that they're putting most of the roofing on. Also, that's the same area. If you look to the left, you'll notice that that's fully bricked, but the area on the right, that's the last portion where they're coming up with the bricks. And really and truly, they've made tremendous progress in the last month because the weather's really cooperated. Next. Okay, this is another section of the building about 2 months ago. Next. And that's what it looks like now. Next. Okay, this is on the opposite side. This is the side of the gym. And if you look to the right there, you'll see the bus loop that's in there. Next. Okay, this is the way it looked on Friday. That paved area in the foreground there, that's the new bus loop along with the parking that goes in it. Also, you notice that you can't really see it in this photo, but about half of that area that you see in front of it, about half of those bricks have been cleaned and the other half hadn't been cleaned yet as of Friday. Next. This is another shot of the bus loop before they paved it. Next. And that's it again after they paved the bus loop. So the bus loop is paved, ready for students and buses to come in, and they'll actually use it, to feed the older school until the new one is ready. Next. Also, that's a nice shot of the bus loop, and you'll notice that they have all the lighting in and everything. Now, that one electrical pole to the extreme right, once that school is up, that'll be coming out. Next. In addition to what's going on at Wallace and at the high school, this is the Blenheim Gym. We just last week completed doing the McCall Gym, the Bennisfield Intermediate Gym, and the Blenheim Gym. And that's what it looked like, after they refurbished the floor down there. Next. Okay, that concludes the small projects. At this time, Mr. Tim Brown will come. I think Ms. Ohanation and Mr. Coachman asked about the original plans and that building up there. So Tim's going to address that, and he's also going to address the fields at Blenheim, which we've already engaged someone to start.
Thank you, Dr. McLeod.
Dr. Taylor, Madam Chairman, school board members, welcome, or thank you for having me again. I didn't know about the meeting last month, so I apologize. The first question was about the Wallace Elementary Middle School. The original plans did show a concession stand, press box, dugouts, and lighting. However, that was bid as an alternate to the original project, or for the original bid. That was alternate number 4 in the amount of $436,899. That, along with the rest of the alternates, were not accepted at that time. Later, we did go back and add the alternate 2, which were the 4 classrooms, in as an alternate. If all the that bid was $19,794,000, and then if you were to add the alternates, you'd added another $3.5 million, which would have put us in excess of what we had available. We also did value engineering, and we reduced that by $1,149,000, coming up with a final total of $18,645,032. Met with the committee that reviews the changes to the construction, and the question Mr. Coachman asked was about the press or the concession stand. He wanted to try to see if we could relocate it, and I informed him we didn't even have it. So I'm sorry, I broke to you gently. So what I did suggest that we do, and I believe he's in agreements with this, I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Coachman, but while we have the general contractor of Thompson Turner and the architects, Jumper Carter Cease, engaged now, what I propose to do, and I've talked to the architect, engineer, to stub out a sewer connection to the area we talked about, close to the fence between the school district and the Wallace Recreation Department, the County Recreation Department. Also stub out a water connection and an electrical connection. If we can get that done while they're in the process of the rest of the construction, I think we can get it at a reasonable price. After the construction is completed with Wallace, I would propose that you do the same thing that you did with the concession stand and press box for the high school. That came in. That was also bid. It was an alternate for the school district. It was alternate number 6, and that came in at $696,000. What we were able to do, because the board didn't accept that, what we did do was we did a design build with a contractor, PCI, out of Laurinburg, and that number came in at $290,000. So you can see we could save, I think, a lot of money by doing it on a design build in the future. And as long as we have the water and the sewer stub out, that would save you a lot of money later. I'll answer any questions.
Mr. Coachman?
The concession stand that you're building out at the high school, you came in at $290,000.
Yes, sir.
And really, for the middle school, I don't think we need something as quite that huge. I don't know if the restrooms will go by how many. Basically, just looking for a restroom and concession stand. We don't really need the press box. So if we can limit the size, maybe get something even lower price than that. We just need something accessible when the kids are playing football, baseball, softball, that they have a restroom and a concession stand that they can go to during recreation and sports.
Yes, sir, I agree. I think that one thing that dictated the size of this building is the officer school facility requires that, due to the number of seating that you have, then you have to have the number of restrooms or for the facilities based on the number of seating. that you may see some of those bleachers have been moved right now. So but we still have, you know, large restrooms that you would not have to have in Wallace.
Right.
In Wallace, as long as we stay with four-row high bleachers,
Right.
we eliminate a lot of OSF problems and cost. And then no press box,
Right.
because if we put it where you're talking about putting it, it wouldn't be accessible for a press box. And I don't think there's a lot of press, no offense, Lynn, to the Wallace or the Blenheim or any of the middle
Oh,
schools.
come now, you don't think our middle school kids gonna have a lot
Well,
of press?
they should,
I'm kidding.
but
There's enough press down here as it is, so
that's
we don't
correct.
need
So
it.
I think you're exactly right, Mr. Coachman, and I think that you're really lowering the cost of this because you don't have to have the same requirements as you did on the high school.
I think that's the best route for us to go. I appreciate your work on it. Appreciate you getting back with us on it.
And I'll get, the engineer's going to get the drawings to me, and then we'll get Thompson Turner to give us a price, and at our committee, if that's, we'll look at it at the committee level, and then recommend to the board approval, and you may could pay for that if you elect to out of your contingency money.
Ms. O'Nation?
That was my question. I agree with Mr. Coachman that we don't need a press box, and we do want to have restrooms. I want to put in a plug for a few extra restrooms for women. We always run short, but we want to make it reasonable. I'm just saying
Oh, yes,
that.
ma'am,
Okay,
certainly.
make that reasonable. And I wanted to look into the contingency fund, so maybe we could do it sooner rather than later, depending on what we have there.
Well, I think we'll have enough, but we could get
Yeah.
that done, and then after we
work
get
on
the
the design
school,
build.
then we can go to a design build.
I think it makes a lot of sense to have the things stubbed in now.
Oh, yeah.
Whole lot of sense. Mr. Coachman?
I just wanted for Mr. Brown to clarify when he said he used contingency funds, that means that it would cost no more to the price of the school. It would come out of contingency money already awarded and bidded out for the school.
The contingency money is money set aside in the original bid
That's right.
by the general contractor, and that's your money,
Okay.
our money, to use as we see fit.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And that was my question, too. I wanted to know if we had enough in there to do that. We don't know yet, so there'll be.
Well,
more.
we're still spending money on changes, but a lot of the money is already been earmarked in that contingency account. Mr. Park would know more than I do about how much he's had to shift over, but I can't tell you the exact number we've spent so far because I've got several items to go in front of the committee. But
Okay.
we're in
We'll wait for that.
we're in good shape. Just depends on how much Wes needs. The second thing I wanted to report, I was contacted by Dr. McLeod about a Phase 1 environmental site assessment for Blenheim, the athletic fields in Blenheim. I've got a file started with the Marlboro County appraisal cards. There's a 5.22 acres piece of property which is right in front of the school. That's one piece that the district owns. And the second piece is 8.96 acres, which is as you go into the school on the left past Broad Street. And I also have the plats of each property. And I've contacted GS2 Engineering Services. They're conducting the Chapter 1 and Chapter 17 inspections for us on the new Wallace School now. And I asked them to give us a proposal, and they have. It was under $2,500, which was your limit to have to put this out for requests for proposals. They came in at $1,900. The Phase 1 site assessment, the contract has already been, or the proposal's been signed by the district, and the site assessment will take place on August the 6th, which is this Thursday. I will meet with the gentleman from GS2 and give him the information that I've already gotten for him.
Great.
Okay. I think they'll have the report, he said, in 7 to 14 days. He should have a final report to you about the Phase 1.
That's
I just had a thought. We need to put Mr. Brown on the playground at the McCall School because it was planned in 2006 and nothing's happened yet. And you make things happen.
Well,
I
thank
agree.
you.
I mean, really.
Well, with the help of the district.
Well, nothing's happened out there.
Well, I meant on the other issues that you've directed me to
Oh,
assist.
excuse me, I'm Ms. Parsons, I'm looking over at the principal. Dr. Phillips, haven't we worked on your playground situation?
We're waiting for the paving company was supposed to come in last week, and we didn't hear from them. We left them a message today, so as soon as we get that underway, we have all the equipment ready to go. We're just waiting on that first step, and they're ready to go. So
Right,
they're
because
waiting.
they've already selected the equipment.
Yeah,
We're moving on that.
That's encouraging
Okay.
because there's sure nothing out there.
That was fast too.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Mr. Parks. The finance report as of July 21st. I wrote over it, is that, yeah, 21st, 2015.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Tiller, you have before you the financial report dated as of July 21st, 2015. At that date, the district's cash and investment balances on hand for the four primary operating accounts were $4,757,017. As of that date, the district had expended $549,771 of a $31,255,963 budget, or 1.76% of budget to date.
Any questions? All right, move right
Okay.
on to the resolution authorizing issuance and sale of tax-exempt general obligation bonds.
Yes, you have a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of tax-exempt general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $1,660,000 through the South Carolina Association of Government Organizations program. The district on an annual basis must issue general obligation bonds to provide for proceeds to retire annual installment revenue bonds as issued in 2007, and a portion of which were later refunded in 2010 in order to qualify the use of those dollars for tax millage to retire that debt. The resolution will authorize the issuance of that general obligation bond series 2015 through the SCAGO program. The resolution further authorizes the superintendent to execute an escrow agreement with Wells Fargo Bank, creating an escrow fund which the proceeds of the bond will be deposited to and will be used to make the fiscal 2015-16 installment payments on December 1st, 2015 and March 1st, 2016. The bonds will be sold later in August, and within 2 weeks of the sale, they'll be closed. This is the auction is a large auction. There'll be about $1 billion of public bonds that will be sold. So the district will get an excellent rate on this particular issuance here, as we do each year.
Ms. Owenation, would you like to make a motion, or do you have a question?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. The communications from the McNair firm and the municipal advisors on the actual sizing of this bond issue.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you satisfied with that?
I'm very satisfied with the communication in that regard, and that will limit the, of course, you authorized 33 mills within the budget as far as debt service,
Yes.
and the 33 mills will cover this issuance as well as others.
That's what my question was in terms of the sizing. It's a little.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did include, there is a section in there, and just to give you a rough idea, $385,000 will be provided for project funds. which will also help us with the Wallace School. Principal of about $654,000 and about $465,000 in interest. So total issuance, at a minimum, the requirement's a little over $1.5 million, and they're depending on the communications in terms of between the treasurer in terms of what that actual 33 mills will provide for. That amount could equal up to $1,660,000. So that would be the maximum.
Because the numbers are not quite jiving, but it may, all of that will be concerned in terms of the sale and all, so I assume.
That's correct. And we will not issue bonds that will exceed the 33 mils, absolutely.
That was my next question.
That's my real question. Okay, we're getting to that.
And we'll address.
Tax increase, right?
Correct. And I will be sending a letter at the end of this month to our auditor stating what our millage rate is in terms of it being exactly the same as the current year.
So there
It's
is
not
no tax increase.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Hearing
ma'am.
that good news, I would like to make a motion that this board pass a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $1,660,000 general obligation bonds in one or more series, in one or more years, with appropriate series designations, including a tax-exempt series and a taxable series if necessary,
If applicable, probably not.
of the School District of Marlboro County, South Carolina, authorizing the South Carolina Association of Governmental Organizations to facilitate the sale of the bonds under its general obligation debt program, prescribing the terms and conditions under which the bonds may be issued, authorizing the superintendent of the school district to determine certain matters relating to the bonds, providing for the payment of the bonds and the disposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters related thereto.
Yes,
And that's the proposal from the McNair firm.
that is correct.
Is there a second? Second. I should repeat that, but I'd never get it done.
I'll give it to you, Lynn.
It's impossible. Ms. Tweed, did you get that? Or you will have it, right?
She will.
Okay, all right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? I'm going to abstain. All right, so the motion's carried, and we have one abstention with Ms. Fleming. There was no one opposed, correct? No one was opposed. All right, I want to be sure I didn't miss anybody. All right, thank you, Mr. Parks. And now the Wallace School construction project update.
Very good. There's been no changes as proposed with the Wallace construction project budget since last month's meeting. In July, the district received a communication from South Carolina Department of Transportation that the funding for the County Transportation Commission requested for the off-site paving was $160,000 even. Versus the initial estimate, which we had before, which was $396,271, which is a difference of $236,271, which will require funding from the proceeds of the penny and/or contingency. The proposals on the public address system, burglar alarm, security access system, and camera systems were approved in May. These items are part of the district's costs and are within budget. There are no changes to the document. You can see the sources and uses as prescribed on the following 2 pages. Any questions?
I have a question I'd like for you to give us an answer to next month.
Very good.
And that is how much it would cost to put seat belts in school buses.
Okay. All right. I'll bring that back.
Okay? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Battle, the curriculum, instruction, and assessment, South Carolina assessment update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Tiller, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Just very briefly, we wanted to update you on where we are in the state as far as assessment. Ms. Connie Anderson is here with me tonight also, if you have any additional questions. We do have 2 new assessments that we do know of, and that's the pre-K readiness assessment and the kindergarten assessment. And the pre-K readiness assessment has to be assessed during the first 45 days of the school year, and again during the last 45 days at a minimum. And we chose PALS. By we, I mean the schools chose PALS, and it's phonological awareness literacy screening. Out of 3 that were available, this is what was chosen by the district. And then for DRA2, Developmental Reading Assessment, 2nd edition, we did not have a choice. This is what the state provided. We still have all of our regular testing that's going on this school year. As of now, for ELA and math state assessments for grades 3 through 8, they have not been determined. We did have ACT, Aspire, and the state has not made a decision as to what that's going to be for this year. But as soon as we know, we'll let teachers know, the community know, and board members and administrators. We do know as of today that the 11th grade assessment will be work keys. In your packet it says that it had not been determined, and at the time that this packet was put together it had not been determined. But Ms. Anderson did find out today that we will administer work keys to our 11th graders. We don't have any dates. As far as South Carolina Pass, Science and Social Studies, end of course, Access, South Carolina Alt, and NCSC, we do not have any dates for those as of yet. But as soon as we get them, we'll be passing those dates along. Are there any questions? Thank you.
All right. All right, under Human Resources, Dr. Cobb, we need first reading of the policy GBC, staff compensation.
Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Tiller, the recommended policy changes to GBC are in red. You also notice that the strike-throughs in red is what's in our present policy. And these recommendations in red will be from the South Carolina School Boards Association. And we present this to you tonight for first reading on staff compensation.
I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
see.
okay, that's okay.
Ms. O'Nation.
We had discussed this policy in earlier groups of boards that we felt that years of experience should relate to the years of experience employees had in district. We had talked about that at length because we felt that that would be a reward for those folks that stay with us. We can't always give them the money we'd like to give them, but we can certainly give them the years of experience. We do have 3 board members out tonight. Because I'm concerned about that and a few other issues here, I think I would make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Want to postpone it?
Yeah.
Is that agreeable with everyone?
We have to, if board members are not responsible enough to be here, it means they hope this is the second thing that's not time sensitive, but it needs to be addressed. We have a quorum, I think that everyone was duly notified that they should be here. Right. And so we set a precedent. If you don't have certain people here, you're not going to take care of the school board's business. And I'm not going to be a part of that.
That's not my point. My point really is...
It appears that way.
No. I just feel that there are some questions that have arisen that just as recently as the last few days.
Maybe if you have some questions, maybe you would
Sure.
ask your questions. Sure. And then let us move forward. You know, if you got questions.
Well, it's just a first reading. There's not time sensitive. I just thought that there are some issues that I would like to get a little more information on before I vote on it. That was the main reason for the tabling. And I think there may be some concerns here that we need to look into.
Well, the procedure is if you have information, then maybe request that from Human Resources so that we can go ahead on and be about the business of taking care of business.
Well, I don't think this is urgent, so I think I have made a motion to table this particular vote on the first reading of GBC.
I'll second it.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? So it's a failed motion. So,
All right, my next motion would be that let me see how to word this. That the phrase "in the district" remain in policy GBC in both places.
Okay.
In paragraph 1, and after purpose, it's in paragraph 2, and also later in
I'm trying
3,
to
4,
find-
5, 6.
I'm trying to find where, you're looking at staff compensation, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, and what are you?
Look under professional staff.
I see that,
It's the second paragraph.
The compensation of certified personnel, is that the one you're
The
talking about?
second sentence says, "The schedule takes into consideration the levels of professional training and years of service in the district." That's what our policy is now.
Okay,
And the proposal is to take out the phrase "in the district," which means that other years of experience from other districts or other jobs would be considered in the level of salary in terms of years of experience, which of course, I think it's a big step. And this was a long discussion we had several years ago, that we wanted to reward folks who stayed in the district by giving them credit for their years in the district. And that we did not necessarily want, for example, this is folks coming from North Carolina, Georgia, or some other job that had some years of experience, to jump ahead of our people who may have been here 20 or 25 years in our district, working the soil and tilling here.
I
So
understand.
that's
a real valid point.
That was my concern.
Point,
yeah.
but I think we've entrusted human resources to get professional people to do what needs to be done in this district. And if these recommendations came from the School Board Association, that was the only reason that I would see no reason to personally why we should not act on this, because it was recommended by the School Board Association, and obviously they've studied these issues. And if there is a particular person that you're thinking about, that you're talking about in the district that has happened to, I would certainly not like to see that happen. But also, human resources have a responsibility to do what's supposed to be done, and they report to this board. And I'm just kind of a little puzzled here why
Would
we.
you like to make a motion to pass this?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
It's already was motion to table it. It's not going to be tabling, so.
The motion to table failed.
But then we have to move forward to either.
I make a motion that we move forward with the changes added to the policy.
Okay, I did have one other concern.
All right.
If I may. I'm not trying to lengthen this meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I do want to make a statement that I admire the School Board Association, but they've made mistakes in the past, and I don't rubber stamp everything that they're suggested. And this board has made differences and chosen different paths for our board policy. We're a small district, and there are certain things we need to do to help our people who are here with us. The second concern I have is under professional staff, where it says the board will award administrative contracts on the recommendation of the superintendent. And I have no problem with recommendations from the superintendent. However, that is it's a will and a shall. I would change that wording to the board may award administrative contracts on the recommendation of the superintendent. I had not had a chance to talk with Dr. Tiller about this, and I don't think she would have an objection to that, would you?
No, ma'am, I don't. The only thing that we are doing is making sure that we go through in those policies that have not been updated. For example, this one has not been revised since 2006.
2006.
And so that's what we're doing, is trying to make sure that we're current. And normally when we get to a policy that has not been addressed, the first thing we do is seek advice from the School Boards Association, since that is the board's association, as to what their recommendations would be.
I have another question. I'm sorry, I don't want to take up this much time. I wanted to get this.
That's why we're here.
Well, I wanted to get the information and then come back to the board with it. Do you have any idea how much it will cost for us to change from the phrase "in the district"? Do you have any idea on that, Mr. Cobb?
No, I don't. What do you
Okay.
mean, how much it would cost?
Well, obviously, if we are going to give contracts to individuals whose experience includes other districts, we're going to increase the amount of money we need to pay those folks, assuming that they would have additional experience. You know, in other words, you work in North Carolina for 30 years, you come over here, and you could be eligible for a 30-year contract.
Now, are you referring to professional certificated staff?
I'm talking about professional staff and support staff, for that matter. Because it's in those two phrases. I don't want to make a battle about this, but I think it's going to be expensive, and I think we as the board should have some knowledge of how much that's going to be.
But I think that the issue is when we hire out of state. When we hire in-state, it's different because when they come from out of state, right now the way it is, it's, you know, it's not like we hiring people in the state, if you follow what I'm saying. For example, if let's just say if we have a person that retires in Aiken, South Carolina, and they decide they want to come and work with us in Marlboro. Well, if they've retired, then they have to follow South Carolina's retirement requirements.
Right.
But when someone comes to us retired from out of state, that's a totally different ballgame. So I think that that's the area that we need to look at.
Yes, ma'am, and that was I felt like I wanted to talk with you about it. Unfortunately, I've been out of town, and I haven't been able to, so.
And if I could just add, I think the other issue, though, as far as awarding experience, years of experience, when we have teachers that come from one district in South Carolina to this one, state law is that we have to award that.
I
Yes,
realize,
ma'am.
and I hated to draw that delineation, because certainly we need people from other states who are talented, but I think this is something we should look at, and I would, instead of a motion, well, anyway, that's been defeated, so.
All right, who's going to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with policy GBC with the changes in paragraph 2 that the board will to the board may base the salary based upon the staff salary. With that change being added.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed?
Well, I'm not opposed to the may, I'm just,
I'm opposed until we know more.
okay.
Well, how many readings do we have to have?
2.
I'm gonna go ahead and vote in favor of it because we will have, I would vote in favor of it.
All right, so the motion's carried. Those opposed? And I'm not opposed, I just want more information. All right, but the motion's carried for first reading. Thank you, Dr. Cobb. All right.
And Michael, appreciate that, the change from will to may, I do agree with that.
All right, Dr. Tiller, the superintendent's report.
Good evening, Ms. Parsons, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. I'm happy to share with you this evening our new focus and motto for this year, and we are really excited about it. It's great students, great staff, and great schools. So we're very excited about that. We had a planning retreat a week ago, and all the administrators in the district to start to plan and make sure that we're all on the same page to get our school year started. We did have Mr. Woods, who came and shared with the administrators and at one, I guess it was on Wednesday's lunch, and Thursday, and we really appreciate the fact that he did come. I know that Mr. Goff was going to try to make it as well, but his work schedule would not permit. But we had a real good retreat. One thing that we did this year that was a little different is the fact that we did all travel together on an activity bus so that all administrators could see the county and know more about our county and where our kids are coming from, and why sometimes we have situations with buses in that why we have to run double routes and why sometimes we have to get started so early because it's so spread out. And one of the areas that was noted was that area of Wallace. And sometimes we're only traveling a long distance just to pick up a couple of children, but they have the right to ride the buses as everyone else. So it was a real good retreat, and I feel that we're ready to go for the school year. We did have some surcease for the board for the coming year, and I'll make sure you get those this evening. Also, on August 12th, we're going to have our summer graduation. It'll be here at Marlboro County High School, and we're still trying to determine the exact time. It's either going to be 1 or 1:30, but it'll be here in the Media Center, and we have 3 students that'll be graduating, and we're really excited because they stuck in there. They just hung in there, and they didn't give up. And so if you haven't, for the public, if you have not attended one of our summer school graduations, I invite you to do so. It's very special.
We go
Yes,
to, we
ma'am.
enjoy that, and Jackie's been there too.
Also, I'd like to share that we had our culminating Freedom Schools programs. They were also outstanding, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Marlboro County Children's Defense Fund faculty and staff, and also Ms. Mary Wright Edelman for continuing to make the children of Marlboro County a priority. Our kids really learn a lot of good skills in that program, and they continue to benefit from it. I'd also like to state that Mr. David Williams, he's with us this evening. He worked with us for several years as part of the camera crew, and he just recently graduated from South Carolina State University. In education, and he's been selected to go straight through graduate school, all expenses paid. He graduated magna cum laude, and in addition to that, when he returns, once he finishes his master's degree, he's coming home to teach. And so we're really excited about that. And not only David, we have a few that are in their last semesters, and they've promised that they're coming home. And we're excited about that because that shows that our programs are effective, that our students want to come back home and teach. And so we're very proud of them. In addition to that, tomorrow we're going to have our new employee orientation. It's going to be here at the high school, and members of the board, the time is on the bottom of your agenda. It's going to be at 8, and we're going to have it here in the Media Center, and we are asking you, if your schedules will permit, that you come and take a few minutes to meet our new employees and also to share some words of welcome with them. In addition to that, this year we're going to be offering free lunch to all students again, and so we're very happy that we're going to be able to do that. Last year, there was a lot of discussion regarding supplies. So what we did this year is the bulk of the supplies that our students need, we bought them in bulk, and we sent a short list home to parents. And so when parents say to you, or Walmart calls and say, we got a short list this time, it's because we took some carryover funds that we have, or had now, and we purchased those things that our kids would need. And so those have gone out to the schools, and we're really excited about that. So those things that parents have to buy won't be as much. In addition to that, we have been awarded a fruits and vegetable grant, and I'm going to ask Dr. Lane if he would come forward and just elaborate on that just for a minute, if you would. We're really excited about it, and 6 of our schools will be participating, and we're working to try to focus on nutrition and healthy eating.
And making it taste good so they'll eat it.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and good afternoon to Madam Chairperson, members of the board, and again, Dr. Tillo. Yes, we're very pleased to announce that we have received unofficially, please do not broadcast this in the paper or the media just yet, news from the State Department that 6 of our schools will be recipients of the fruit and vegetable grant. And this is going to provide an opportunity for our young people to eat a little more nutritiously and a lot more healthy. We're looking forward to it.
And we're excited about it. And and I don't see him here, I was looking for him, Mr. Prince had the opportunity to go to the state meeting, and he came back and he was so excited, and he came over and he said, Dr. Till, I have a new fruit. I know you don't know what this is. He said, and I want you to try it. And he ran and he brought it over to me, and it was red, and it has a hole on it, and it's kind of prickly. And I looked at him, I said, oh, that's lychee. He said, how do you know that? And I told him it's because I lived in the islands for some time. But so we want to introduce our kids through this program to different fruits and things that are not indigenous to our area as well. So anyway, thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing more about that. Also this week, we've been hosting our auditors, the independent auditors from Stith and Stubbs. Derek Stubbs, okay, I got it backwards. But anyway, they have been in working with our staff and reviewing things, and things have gone very well. And I'd just like to thank Mr. Parks and his staff. I'd also like to thank Dr. McLeod for the work that he's been doing with our custodial staff and schools and helping to get us up and ready to go. I also want to thank Mr. Will Jorgensen. Mr. Jorgensen has not missed a beat, Mr. Gould, and it's because of you as well, and I want to thank you because that transition has been really smooth, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing. He's going to be going to training for new directors, and so he's excited about that, and we're excited to have him serve in that role. And I also want to just share with the board that all of our principals and administrators have been to TAP training. We've been tapping all summer. There's always a training if it's a 2 days here and a 2-day training there, and some of the principals that are not here this evening, they're on their way for training now. And so I just want you to know that that's going very well. And just to refresh everybody's memory, we were selected last year. Ms. Barbara McCall was very instrumental in working with that. And we were able to once again land a TAP grant for $5.3 million. And we've been able to provide training, a common language for delivering instruction, evaluating instruction. One of the real good sessions that we had down in Charleston a few weeks ago was about assessment and how to develop the right type of assessment items at the right level of Bloom's taxonomy to make sure that we're really assessing what our kids should be learning in the standards. And so we had a really good session on that, and our master teachers and administrators, all of us had an opportunity to try to determine how we would come up with those assessments, because it's easy when it's a group, but sometimes when individual teachers have to come up with their own assessments, that's when it becomes a little difficult. But they will be working in groups, and we will be working to develop those. I also want to share that on yesterday, we had a meet and greet here at the high school. It was wonderful. It was very well attended. We had parents and students, and we had food, and I just want to say that Miss Lightsinger is a great cook. She cooked actually pound cake, and it was just a great afternoon. It was from 4 until 5:30, and Mr. Goff did attend on yesterday. I did have an opportunity to see him, but we're looking forward to a real good year here at the high school. Parents were excited, children were excited, and of course, I'm excited because it's almost time for those yellow buses to roll across the district. And we're off to a real good start down at McCall. We've had some concerns about our new procedure that we're using, but we think that it's the right procedure as far as traffic is concerned, because one thing we don't want to do is when our younger kids, all our kids start to come out and start moving, we want to stop all the traffic, because I don't think any of us would want a child hurt, and because of the cars moving when they're actually crossing and getting out. So right now, if they don't come before 3:10, I think that's the right time, Dr. Phillips? That's when everything stops, at 3:10?
Actually, 2:45 is when we have them stop and they're parked.
2:45.
They're ready to go, and then when the bell rings at 3, everything's on standby until we get the kids.
There you go. So it's a new system that our principal put in place, and so far we think it's working well. We do have a few people that are not used to it, but safety is number one, and so that's what we're trying to focus on, is that of safety. And I think that I've covered every area that I wanted to cover this evening. Just looking around to make sure. Yes, ma'am. Hold on. Also, I wanted to share that our district convocation is going to be on August 14th, and that will be here at the high school at 10. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Ms. Parsons.
Before we make a motion to go into executive session, I just want to make a comment. I was really dreading the first meeting that I didn't see Mr. Gould sitting out there. He's always so calm and just a steady force sitting out there, and bless Pat, you're back, and I'm glad.
He's still coming.
And I hope next month you'll be back again.
Ms. Parsons, you took the words out of my mouth. He's been here for every meeting, and I also want to compliment the two of them. I'm hearing wonderful things already about the adult education situation, so thank you both very much for that.
You used to sit over there.
Yeah. Messing us up.
Right in that seat between.
And I'd like to share that he did attend and participate in the administrative retreat, and we were happy to have him.
And I also wanted to say that Ms. McCall, everybody's doing well, but that particular TAP situation and the things you're doing on the evaluation, which is a very tough spot to be in, thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Phillips, good luck with those parents who don't want to stop at 2:45.
All right, we need a motion to...
Ms. Parsons, I have a question for Mr. McLeod.
All right.
When is the wrecking ball coming? Because I want to be out there. When is that date? For Wallace School, to knock the building down.
Not until... Yeah, not until we move in yeah.
Then I'll come pick you up when it...
I thought it would be, okay. So the other one's got to be completely, and they're in the school.
Dang it. You can't knock it down when it's still using it.
November.
All right, we need a motion to go into executive session, personnel matters, hiring and resignations.
So moved.
All right, second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion's carried, and we're going to executive session. I need a motion to go back into open session,
So moved,
please.
Madam Chairman.
Second? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion's carried. No action was taken, no decision was made, and Dr. Tiller has something to say before we do the vote.
I just wanted to share that I will be bringing the pre-evaluation information that the board asked for. I will be delivering that to each board member. And in addition to that, I wanted to share that Mr. Goff did call and say he could not be here this evening because of a family issue, and Mr. Driggers the same. So I just wanted to let the board know that they did contact me to let me know they couldn't be here. And next Monday night, we will begin at 4:30 on the 10th because Dr. Stevenson will be with us.
Okay. All right. And so, Dr. Cobb?
Madam Chair, school board members, The administration recommends approval of 1 resignation and 7 elections.
Is there a motion?
So, Madam Chairman, I move the board accept the 1 resignation and the 7
Elections.
elections.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. And we are well equipped with Mr. Coachman here tonight. Mr.
Madam
Coachman,
Chair.
go for it.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion's carried.